Welcome to Reality After Show. I am your host, Alex Trias, always joined by my boy, Dan Montchal. Matt Bischoff is not here with us. Neither is Johnny Fairplay. Neither is Wayne Mehmet. They are all at their watch party in Cincinnati with the Queen, Sandra Diaz-Twine, and other guests that we may or may not see in the coming days. But Dan, since they're not here today, it's us. We're running the show. We're the new A team. It's me
We're
and my
the captain
side
now.
piece.
Oh, delegate back to
Like
us.
Wayne's
What
your
does that
side
make
piece,
Wayne?
but you are mine.
Wayne's the side piece of the side piece.
I'm sorry. We're the challenge boys. Also, if you're new to Reality After Show, Dan and I also do coverage of all versions of the challenge, and we are ride or dies through the year of 2023. But Dan, while they are away, Johnny will also have future dates if you want to go through those.
Yeah, like Alex mentioned, Johnny, Matt, and Wayne looks like they're having an awesome time at another one of Johnny's live events. Tonight, they're in Cincinnati, Ohio. But don't worry, Johnny's viewing party tour continues the rest of the season. Next week, that's going to be March 29th. They're going to be in Boston, Massachusetts with Brett LaBelle and plenty of other guests. Johnny's taking a little break in April, but all four new ones coming in May. On May 3rd, they are going to be in Durham, North Carolina with Jesse as they release their new beer, Villains Are Us. On Wednesday, May 10th, they're going to be in Chicago, Illinois at Bounce Nightclub there. On May 17th, they're going to be in Charlottesville, Virginia for another yet of a Johnny new beer release. And then for the finale, I'm bringing Johnny, I'm bringing Wayne. They're coming down to the city I live in, Charlotte, North Carolina, for the finale. All of these parties, Johnny will be joined by the Queen, Sandra Diaz-Twine, plenty of other cast members, and maybe a few surprise guests. You can get all tickets for that at all of these events at survivortix.com. That is survivortix.com.
Thank you, Dan, for that. Remember, survivortix.com for all of your watch party events with Johnny Fairplay and the Queen, Sandra Diaz-Twine. Now, on to tonight's episode. This is episode 4 of Survivor 44. And you know what? I'm still enjoying it. Some choices were made, but they're definitely giving us what we were advertised of. This is a season of players that are really just going to do what they want. And we really see it all culminate by the end of this episode.
Yeah, it's very... I get that there's people that are down on the season, but for those people, I don't think there's going to be a new school season that they're ever going to enjoy. I think you have to appreciate what we're given, because I, like many other people, were kind of down on some of the past handful of seasons, specifically Matt. Alex, I know you were our positive words of wisdom on the podcast.
I'm always the positive words of wisdom person here.
But I'm really enjoying the season. I mean, yes, of course, there's tons of advantages and idols, but it's just the way that the new school game is going to be played. But what they're doing different in this season that they haven't done in the past is it's tying it in with character development. It's tying it in with character, relationships. And I feel like they're kind of finding a nice sweet spot that I'm with you. I'm really enjoying the season so far.
Yeah, and we're getting laces of stuff where, like, if a tribe isn't going to be the one going to tribal, we're getting a little teaser of this is what's to come, and then we get it on the next time on. Like, for example, let's go through from the beginning. Like, we have Ratu's not shown in the first up until the challenge. We don't know anything that's happening on Ratu. So the only thing we get is a Matthew and Carson storyline, which is why I believe, but the next time on, where we see Matthew complaining about his shoulder, I believe that will be a touch point, but I don't believe it's going to take him out of the game, because there is a Hibicki's law. I know Johnny's not a big Hibicki stan, but if you're shown on the preview, it's almost 100% certain you're not going home. So I think Carson's getting information, but we see him talking to Kane. So I think something's going to happen where, like, Kane or Brandon goes or something along those lines. But we go to day 8. It's the next day after a unanimous vote of oh my God, she was my winner.
Claire.
Too. Claire. Carolyn's on my mind, so they kept wanting to come out as Carolyn, and I'm like, it's not Carolyn. But Claire's gone. They're out here meditating, and wouldn't you believe the person we haven't heard really anything from, Josh, is in the best position in the game.
I mean, that lasts for about 6 seconds.
But we hear from Josh, and Josh is just like, you know, Claire goes home, which changes his tune from last episode where he's like, I don't want Claire to go. I want one of Matt or Franny to go. He comes to this episode, he's like, I'm in such a great position. I didn't have my allies, Matt or Franny, go home. And I also have the duo of Danny and Heidi. And I'm just square in the middle. I get to decide. I'm in the power position. Everything's coming up Millhouse for Josh. Until Danny speaks.
Yeah, that's what it would appear until Danny speaks. And I'll apologize a little bit. I feel like I've been more harder on Danny. I have a huge criticism coming up in the reward challenge, but that's just completely separate. We'll get there. But I feel like Danny, he's showing that he's a lot better player than what maybe he's first appeared, especially over these past few episodes of being like, hey, I realize this could be an easy 2-2. Josh is the swing. We know that this merge or this pre-merge isn't going to last forever. And the way that they've been at challenges, I'd be shocked if they went to more than one more. So why would we do that and divide ourselves going into a merge? Let's just take out the person that thinks they're the swing. We're a solid 4 going into the merge potentially. And that's a much better position to be than being 3 in a fractured 1.
No, I agree. And it comes to, there's some other podcasts that were mentioning it, and it like opened my eyes a little bit. I think so let's compare it. On Raw 2, Matthew specifically designs a fake idol and ensures the person that he wants to find it finds it in Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
He has full control over that. He's building a one-on-one connection there. He can control that. The one issue with Danny's plan was he hit it, but then was like, well, whoever finds it, finds it. Like, whoever finds my fake, finds my fake. And as soon as one of the couple finds it, he now has more of an incentive to keep both of them in the game, because the only way that he can take one of them out, because everyone knows that Matt has an idol, is by revealing that he has a fake. And how would he know he has a fake unless he's the one who planned it, which means he found the real idol. So it's a lot of self-incrimination by trying to target them because they have his fake idol, which apparently, according to Claire, Matt and Franny are very much aware that it's a fake.
Really?
Because in an interview, she said during the Matt chat that she had with Matthew told her all about Brandon finding the idol and what all the stuff in the bag said.
Okay, see, that would have been nice to see.
That would be nice, because he specifically said in the note also talks about a fake idol. So she went back to Matt when Matt found the idol. Matt shows the paper, has nothing about the fake idol on it.
So which would it, at that point, pretty much incriminate either Danny or Heidi? I guess potentially Josh.
But I was going to say the story was it incriminated Danny or Josh.
Good.
And it looks like they were more so pointed at Josh by how they all talk here. So another new 4 on Soka. After a 4 last week, or a 5 last week, we have a new 4 of the Showmance and Danny and Heidi. So that's where we lead things off. They're going to try to blindside Josh if they lose another immunity challenge. That brings us to Tika. This is still day 8. And I love this. I love this scene. Like, once again, using advantages to create a plot point. It's ultimately unsuccessful at the end of it, by the end of the episode, but it was fun while you were watching it live. They're walking past the birdcage, and Carson and Sarah spot a red X out of like red vine on the birdcage. No one knows where it is. Everyone's trying to figure out what it means. And Karen's like, comes to us in confessional, raises her hand. She's like, I know what it means because I planted it. I put that there. I put another X at camp. I put my fake idol in a log, wrapped it up with the paper and everything. And everyone's still trying to figure out what's going on. They search, they can't find anything. Sarah sees the X at camp. And like Sarah does everything right, which I just feel so bad for her with her experience in this game. Like literally nothing went Sarah's way. Like, oh, Catherine Allen says Carolyn counted out. She's outplaying everyone. Um, no, she's definitely outplaying. I'm enjoying Carolyn. I think she is not someone that I would want to work with if I was out there, but God, is she entertaining while she's doing it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea, maybe not the best execution, but she's out there, she's trying stuff, and I heard Johnny speak about it a little bit when him and Wayne did his recap, that if you're one of the fans out there that's messaging her and calling her a crackhead,
Oh,
you
touch
suck,
grass.
and you are exactly what is wrong with
Yeah.
the Survivor community.
Yeah,
Now,
if you feel like you need to go and call like a drug addict, a recovering drug addict, a crackhead, put your phone down, smash it with a sledgehammer, go outside and touch some fucking grass, you nerd.
it's I just wanted to touch on that because it's so uncalled for. But getting back to Carolyn, is you don't have to love her, but she's entertaining. She's bringing so much entertainment value to the show, and she's a character that we haven't seen in years, which always makes it better. Is like, think about it. Everyone shits all over Redemption Island, probably,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of good reasons or whatever. You know what everyone remembers? Special Agent Philip Shepard. Like, she's someone that she's polarizing. You don't have to love her. You can even, dislike her somewhat, but she's so good for the show and everything that she brings. And you're seeing these little tidbits with, planning the fake and some of the other things that she's done throughout the first 4 episodes, that she's a lot smarter player than people are giving her credit for.
Well, right, and I said in the preseason assessment, she's an orc player. Like, she plays these games out, like, online and everything. So, like, she has a mind for the game. She's just deciding, I'm there. I'm going to have fun. I can make something out of this. Why not try it? And she's allowing to, like, she's definitely a reactionary, emotionally influenced player, which isn't a bad thing. I want to make that clear. That isn't a bad thing. It just will be very grating for logical players because it's constant maintenance and having to like reassure because you say one wrong thing, like we see with her relationship with Jam Jam, who we thought they were so tight. One little misread of how you should be managing that relationship, and she can flip.
Yeah, she's interesting how she acts. And when we get to her interaction with Jam Jam, that was something that I didn't see coming. I thought it was more they were playing it up, but it's just someone, like, it's what you have to deal with out in the game. You're not going to play with a ton of people that think just like you. You're playing with people from all over the country that are going to have different views, have different actions. I mean, it's the same thing as going to school. Any other time that you're in a large group, you're going to have a little oddballs, for better case of words. And it's something that it's interesting.
Yeah. And I'm not saying we need to have a full cast of Carolyns. I think having a Carolyn on a cast makes a cast better. Like we don't because we've seen it with these last few seasons where we have a few characters, but not someone as like, I am gonna force my full authentic self down your throat, and you're either gonna enjoy it or you're gonna just have to deal with it because I'm gonna be here, and so you might as well enjoy it. Like I don't need 18 Carolyns on a cast, but like if you have 1 or 2 on a cast, it makes the cast so much better, more exciting. But like to get back to the Sarah of it all, because like I feel like Sarah's playing so many parts right. Like she goes to the journey. I had a criticism of her lying about what the journey entailed because you don't know when it's going to come up again. If those people stay on your tribe and they come back and they give a conflicting story, now it's a he said she said who's telling the truth this time. But she gets that inheritance advantage, but loses her vote. By losing her vote, she then loses Carson, who then flips to Carolyn and Jam Jam, votes out her number 1 in Helen. Now you find an idol. You're doing all the right things. You like look at the clues, you use your clothes, you do everything discreetly. Only person who knows that she grabbed something was Carolyn, and it wasn't like Carolyn spot her in the act. She just saw afterwards. It's like Sarah's playing all of this very well. She's trying her best to manage her relationships based off the edit that we're seeing. I'm sure we'll get stuff into posts where they're like, no, we didn't see eye to eye. She's someone who needed to go. But I feel so much for her journey here.
Yeah, she did a lot of things right, but that's just the nature of survivors. You can do everything right. It doesn't mean that it's going to go well for you. And Sarah, just unfortunately for her, is the next, iteration of that happening. And I don't want to, we'll get to the journey when we get there, not to jump too far ahead. But what I do like is that they're changing it up a little bit, because I agree with you, Alex, that it wasn't the smartest to lie about what happened, because you figure, hey, it's going to happen again. But if they're going to keep doing journeys where it allows the players to lie and come up with creative, elaborate excuses, I think that's a good thing, which, like I said, we'll get to it when we kind of see it, that it's something that's a little bit different. And I think it's another small tweak that they're making in this evolution of the new game that's going to be very good, not only for this season, but future seasons as well.
Also, Stockade Kid brings up a really good point here about the idols. Like, we're now at 13 people left. Before Tribal happened, we had 6 idols in out there on the island currently, as well as at least 3 fake idols.
Everyone thinks they have an idol. Everyone
has an idol. Now we're at final 13, and there are 5 idols in circulation. Obviously, 2 of them have a shot clock on them. They can, and we'll get to that spot, because I think the phrasing of it was very telling. So I'm very intrigued by it, but we'll get there when we get to the journey of it all. So we're now at reward challenge, which, if there's going to be just a random reward challenge and not reward and immunity at the same time, there's going to be a twist in the game. But with this reward challenge, you are climbing up a ladder across a cargo net to the top of a tower, launching sandbags at targets. We've seen this before. I think it goes all the way back to Tocantins, maybe, or what? Yeah. I know Fishback has competed in it at least once.
I believe he did it in Cambodia, but I know it shows up in the late teens, early 20s is the first time that we start to see something like this.
And reward, tarps. Big tarps and small tarps. And I'm like, okay, we're getting very close to the fake merge then, because they only like to give tarps in this new era right before you merge anyway.
Yeah, get a few days out of it, and that's where it is. And this is where obviously challenges are pre-planned. It's not like they design it thinking, oh, this will be great for so-and-so or whatever. But I can only imagine after last week's episode, they were pumped to see this challenge come up, because if there is one thing that we know about Danny, that man loves doing ninja rolls for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And this gives him a chance to keep showing it off.
Yeah. He keeps doing it. I'm waiting for him to get hurt because of it. But it's a pretty straightforward challenge. Soka dominates. It was not close. We see that Carolyn struggles once again in a physical challenge, but she eventually gets it. But by the time that she gets it, they're not going to get second. Ratu gets second. We see Matthew even using his arms to climb the horizontal part of the cargo net. His shoulder's still bothering him. That's obviously going to be his talking point of the episode, or not this episode, but tomorrow or next week's episode. Which has me thinking. So we're at 13. So let's I'll just say Ratu gets second. Soka gets first. Soka gets to decide who goes on the journey. I'll get to that part. For Matthew, I feel if I'm on that tribe now, we're now at 13 people. There's 1 or 2 people left that need to be removed before you get to that final 11. So you have your final 3 with an 8-person jury. So only 2 more boots before you're at that spot. So there's probably 1 more tribal, and then the fake merge. or the Earn the Merge special.
Mhm.
Because it's not next week apparently, and that's the first time I think they're not doing it at 13, like they've done in the last couple seasons.
Which I like. Mix it up. Keep the players guessing.
Unless we're wrong. I don't believe we're wrong though.
No, I think they'd
If
show us that if that's what it
so,
was.
if I'm Carson now and I'm trying to build relationships, I think Matthew is a meal ticket. I think if you're on that tribe, Matthew's a meal ticket for you because if he's willing to be hard, you're like, okay, he's going to be a threat. I get it. He's also not going to be able to perform at his best in most individual immunity challenges moving forward when you get to the post merge because of that shoulder issue. It's not like Tyson's where Tyson's eventually healed up. Like it's bothering him.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of these challenges involve having your arms in the air, holding something to position it. He's not going to be able to do that. So it's like you see a glaring weakness, but you can see potential of him as an ally if you show that I'm willing to put trust in you. That's why I think Matthew should be safe. Like if I'm on that tribe, I'm valuing him as a piece in my game.
He's working really well so far. So I mean, this is prior to the swap, or the journey where you find out that 3 of them are changing tribes. But up to this point, we've seen that he's close with Brandon. And we know that Brandon is also close with Lauren. So you'd have to think that he has to have somewhat of a relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he's been putting in all this work with Jamie. And the only person that you don't see him necessarily close with is Kane, but he has, seemingly good relationships with everyone, that it would seem that if, Rotu goes back to tribal, Matthew is really the one that's going to be calling the shots of the direction that this goes, or at least making the final decision of which way it goes.
Show the comment from Goodfella. I know he didn't pay for it, but I want to give him some appreciation. Drop a like for the fellas on every week, Ryan. We appreciate you, Goodfella. 1422. We work hard for it for all of you. We hope that you guys continue to enjoy what we provide. So thank you. But this gets us to the journey. So Soka gets to decide who goes. They ultimately decide Josh. Josh is going to go, and Jamie is going to go from Ratu. Carson's going to go from Tika.
So before we get into it, my question is, if we had that conversation the beginning of the episode that it's us 4,
yeah,
why would you send Josh knowing that he could potentially get something?
So I first thought the same thing. But then I was thinking, because to them, they've only seen 41 and 42. When you went to 40, even though it's different, the journey was always the same throughout the season. So Matt comes back. He tells them there's 2 no votes in the bag. There's 1 advantage.
And so you're banking on
him losing his vote.
Okay.
No, that makes sense. I think with given information, it makes sense in that way if you don't want to isolate one of your new 4.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they get a new bottom piece, but again, a bottom piece that now has a real idol and a fake idol. So they pick Jamie, they pick Carson. Carson's an interesting pick. I'm not quite sure what their reasonings are for who they ended up picking for Tika. Maybe they see him as a piece moving forward in their game when they hit a merge. Maybe they want to put a target on him by sending into the journey. We don't know. We don't get that information. Jamie, I think they see her as someone that would be on the bottom of Ratu if you just give it a glance.
Agreed. And I think my only thought with picking Carson is just we hear them talk, other tribes thinking that, we're assuming that Jam Jam's running the tribe. Which if he's running the tribe, I think
don't tell Carolyn that.
Yeah, don't tell Carolyn that. But so if that's everyone else's perception, then you've been able to see a little bit that Carolyn may be a little bit of a wild card and someone that necessarily maybe you're not going to get. It could go either way. She may spill all the beans and give you all the information, or she could talk about random facts for 2 hours. I feel like that could go either way. Whereas Carson, he's kind of like that. All right, Sarah already went. Let's send Carson, see if we can pull any information from him. Because at this part, you wouldn't look at him and think, oh, he works for NASA, but he's a logical person. Maybe he's on the outs, and I think he would probably be your best bet of potentially pulling information from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that gets us to the journey. After Jamie says, bring, bring, this is the sound her magic wand makes, and she wants an advantage. So it's essentially like Jamie just wants to have the full Survivor experience. She wants to experience anything that Survivor has to offer her. So she wants to see what this island is, hopefully get an advantage. Same with Carson. We hear that from Carson as well. We don't see anything in the journey. I'm good with that. Keep it that way.
Yep.
And we see them go all in their separate ways. But this time, you don't have to gamble for an advantage. It's right there. Immunity idol. Immunity idol right for you. Immunity idol for you. Immunity idol for you. We're Oprah here on Survivor. Everybody gets an idol. No catch.
None.
Just drop your buff and pick a new one.
So I don't know if this is going to be popular or unpopular. I actually like it. I like it as for a fact that it's a way of changing things up, but also in a way, we can get into the phrasing because you have your thoughts on that, but for the way that it's not an idol for the rest of the game. It's something that, hey, we understand we're putting you at the bottom. You're in a bad place. So your tribe could potentially be going to tribal tomorrow night. You're probably not going to make inroads there.
Yeah.
But it gives you a little bit of time. I actually like it. I think I'm okay with this.
No, I like it. It's part of me where I'm just like, I have to take out my mind of like the game being fair, because all games of any type are inherently unfair. And it all depends on your perspective. Like, for example, outside of Bruce, only women have been voted out of this game. At least tonight, we see it clearly defined as someone who is removed because they weren't handling their original tribe relationship well, and they were seen as a threat. So that's a lot different than we can challenge. We need to stay tribe strong. Let's keep pushing forward. So I don't want to hear any of that part of it for the argument. I can take the argument of why are only women being voted out. I get it. But what I liked about this also was you send them to another tribe. I feel like you have to give them an idol. You have to give them something that they can have a fighting chance against, especially on these, even if it was a big tribe. If we started with a 2-tribe format and this was still a thing that happened, you're sending, like, you are meat being sent to the lion's den, as like Josh phrases it when he gets to Tika Beach. It's like, you are defenseless. You can try to show how good of a game player you are, flex your social muscles and try to get people on your side. But ultimately, why is someone going to take someone that they've known for 12 minutes over someone that they've known for 8 days? So it's a very hard road. So you need to give them some type of insurance. But I like the fact that this is for the pre-merge. And
Agreed.
But it specifically doesn't say this idol expires when you are merged.
No,
It says this idol expires once all remaining castaways are living on one beach. So
what's your thought there that it works
if we get to
through
if we get to 12, say 13's a normal episode, 12 is now the earned emerge where there is no middle person there. So it's just half the tribe wins, half the tribe is vulnerable, and that's just straight it. You get that boot, and then you're now a jury. So you get the Ellie boot, and you're now a jury instead of doing the 2 boots, because they had the Dwight boot at 12 and then started their jury. I feel that allows it to be a weapon, though, that you can use if you don't have to use it. Like, say Carson survives and like a Kane goes or a Brandon goes on Ratu if they go to tribal. You now get to the earned emerge. It's now a fake idol, but you have all the information to show that it's a real idol. So you can still use it as a weapon. Just hide the part of the note that says, hey, this expires once you're at one beach.
Give it to Danny. He'll eat it.
Oh, yeah. Give it to Danny. He loves eating paper.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. But I do like this because you had to do something for him, give him some type of protection. And I
Mhm.
feel like this is a better way of going about it rather than just saying, oh, this person's safe for the next vote. Because if they don't play it right, then they should be able to go home. Or you can always, use it to bank some goodwill and as you're moving forward. So
Mhm.
I like this. I was a fan.
You know what I'm a fan of. We're talking about using protection. We're talking about dropping your buffs. But when your balls drop, and before you put that protection on, you want to make sure you're properly groomed. And we here at Reality After Show want to give you the best tools possible.
Support for Reality After Show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. That's right, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SURVIVOR at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, that's about 12 million balls.
The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies.
First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, this trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever.
Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and has a 4000K LED spotlight that you need for a more precise shave.
Now, I have a dark shower curtain in my bathroom, and I've been looking for the perfect way to shave in the dark, kinda. Guess what? I found it! 4000K LED! No longer a problem. I got perfectly smooth, clean balls thanks to the Lawnmower 4.0.
It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code SURVIVOR. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code SURVIVOR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thanks for sticking with us through the ad break. And don't forget, for more exclusive Reality After Show coverage, visit realitypatron.com. That's reality, Patron.com.
And we are back. So the players are also back from their journeys, and we'll start on Tika. Josh shows up. Jam Jam is
Carson
devastated.
looks way different.
I
said Carson looks way different.
Just a little bit. Did he get a growth spurt?
He really hit the gym on that.
Like he put on way more than just 30 pounds of muscle. But yeah, so Josh comes in. He understands that he's walking into a lion's den because like this Tika tribe's been weaker. They at least gone to a tribal. They lost someone due to concussion. This is gonna be a tough road. But don't worry, he can make connections. He's gonna lie about his profession. Because my personal favorite thing, Dan, you know this about me. I love when people lie about what they do. Because obviously, what better way to connect to someone by not telling them about yourself?
It makes, I know you hate this. I hate this. At this point, we've seen that it hasn't blown up in Carson's face. He's been able to hide a little bit of them. But I just don't understand. I don't think anyone's out there being like, oh, you're a surgeon. Be like, got to get rid of you right away. Because you think about it. If you spend time with people constantly for, at this point, it's 26 days, there's naturally, even if you are well-fed, well-rested, there's naturally going to be some things that are going to come out about you that you just can't help. It's going to come out on a reaction or something that you say without thinking. And to this, you're adding that not only are you not sleeping much, you're tired, you're in a high stress game. Little things are going to start to show up, and you're not going to be able to hide that for 26 days. You're just not.
Well, he wasn't able to hide it he's still hiding it, but he wasn't able to hide it from that tribe for an hour because he leaves after talking about, no, I tried it. I couldn't get my MCAPs. And then 2 years later, I decided to go into physical training in 2020. And they're like, dude, he's like 2 years younger than you, Jam Jam. That means like he was
Math
out
doesn't add up.
jobless for like 11 years. And they also talked about at the challenge about how for the snake maze that like his steady hands are good for his job as well. And why would you need steady hands for lifting a weight? And like you do need steady hands for lifting a weight, but not in that sense.
Not like a surgeon does.
Oh yeah, there
Is there
no difference.
Yeah. Is there any profession that you think warrants lying about? Is
No.
there anything out there? Because I don't think that I could go out
if
there
you're
and
a
meet anyone.
billionaire.
Okay, but that you're just not talking about money. But I feel like unless you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company or something like that, sure. But for the most part, I don't think I could meet someone in any profession and automatically think drastically different about them.
Look, like
In
I might
game
think
purposes anyway.
well, like I might think a type of way of you of like, well, you're this job, so there is some intelligence behind it. You're like you can't come off dumb to me. No, thank you.
Well,
And
I'm assuming not
that's why
everyone
people are
out there.
so, yeah.
I'm going to assume not everyone out there is like Vince Sly, and most of them are pretty smart. Just throwing it out there.
Right. It's like if you believe that your profession is what's going to send you home, then you shouldn't be on Survivor. Like, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be there because like we haven't seen his potential yet.
Mhm.
It's low right now. He plays a successful idol, gets what he needs to do, but now he has no protection. Now he has to rely on Carolyn to stay true to him.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
It's a very bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. But that's what's happening right now on Tika. Carson gets to Ratu, and we see Matthew's devastated. Matthew's like, I just been spending all these days building this trust with Jamie. I helped her find out it's fake, by the way. I love that he just has to constantly flex on it in his confessionals that he made a fake idol. I love it. It just shows that like he's not in the same way of Carolyn, of like being zany and out there, but he is very much the same of like, I'm out here on Survivor. Like, this is my one opportunity to play this game potentially. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to do whatever comes to my mind, but do it effectively. And he's like, I lost Jamie. Let me go grab Carson.
And all I just want to say right there is that if you're interested in hearing a few more stories about Matthew, what a great time to become a patron at realitypatron.com, because we know that Matt met him last week. Matt was in, Matthew's hometown, and he got to speak all about that on last week's Q&A. And there may have been something that I don't know, perhaps Johnny, Matt, Wayne potentially could have run into him at some point in the past few days, that I'm sure they'll have stories for that on next week's Q&A.
Well, maybe. I don't know how that would all come together, though. Don't know. But become a patron at realitypatron.com. If you don't like it, after 1 month, you can take your money back. We do not keep hostages. But while you're there, you'll get some great Q&A podcasts with Johnny and Matt, as well as once Johnny's back from his second trip to Bolivia come May, Matt and Johnny will get back into their Australian Survivor Rewind, where they are going through the past seasons of Australian Survivor. Their next trip will be Brains versus Brawn.
Yep. Yeah, but no, you were started talking about it before I brought it up, but another great play by Matthew is he's like, hey, let me start to build it, and especially
be the first one.
That's beat me to it. Be the first one, because the first person that reaches out to the new guy, now Matthew does share probably more than he needs to. Now it's nothing that hurts him by any means, but it shows building trust, and it's enough that it doesn't matter how good Carson's conversations potentially would have been with Brandon, with Kane, with Lauren. Matthew makes such a good first impression with that initial conversation that has to be the way that Carson would lean moving forward.
The only thing that holds me back from taking that 100% is we don't get a confessional from Carson. We only hear
That's
from
true.
Matthew's side of it. We hear Carson on the beach say, well, you giving me that information makes me trust you. So Matthew gives him the information about Brandon playing an idol at the Birdcage idol night one, essentially, or their first tribal council. That I'm sure it comes out that him and Jamie Lynn played their shot in the darts. Like I'm just gonna have to assume without the show telling me that information is being told. And then he says, I helped Jamie find the replanted idol, but obviously Jamie's gone now.
Plus, from Carson's point of view, you look at it, the merge is looming. Like, yes, we probably have 1, maybe 2 more episodes before it happens, but it's coming. And you look at the way that Tika's going, those numbers aren't going to be there. Yeah, they are not going to be there. So if this gives him essentially a head start at saying, hey, let me find new allies and more paths to get through this game, because my old original numbers may not even be there by the time the merge comes.
And I feel like this is why in the short term, Carson and Matthew could be a good alliance to each other, where they both are thinking the same way. They're both like, we need numbers to get through this game. I need to trust him. He needs to trust me. I think Carson's best move here is he's an intelligent kid. I think he's going to see the hierarchy is like Matthew, Lauren, Brandon at the top, and then Kane is the person that you could try to throw out there in order to hide your idol. Like, if I don't need to play the idol, fantastic, I can hold on to it. And so my prediction is he's going to try to throw Kane under the bus and get Kane the one voted out if they are the group that goes to tribal.
I could see that. I mean, we all saw how Kane tried to cross the bounce beam.
Whew, that was a struggle. I don't give him a ton of heat for that. He's a taller dude who's losing weight fast, and it's not like he's Brandon, who was muscular.
No, and not to jump ahead, but unfortunately, balance is something that you either have or you don't. And sure, you could work on little things, but for the most part, you're either going to do well at that or you're not. And that's unfortunately just the way that it goes.
Other thing to note here is from Ratu this episode, we get a Jamie confessional before she goes to Soka, but outside that, the only other people that got confessionals were Matthew and Brandon. It's another very weak episode of Lauren. Lauren only got one confessional last week about eating the worm to prove to her kids that you can overcome stuff or something like along that line. It was a very nothing confessional. I don't think that means anything ill will about like her longevity in the game. I just think it speaks to not being able to be the winner at the end, because something that the specialist brought up was how Gabler had a confessional in every episode. And you wouldn't realize that because he's Gabler. But he had a confessional in every episode. And I think that is something that matters in how they edit, even if Jeff Probst claims we don't do a winner's edit.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there still is Erica. I'd say at this point in time, if you're not getting confessionals, it really doesn't mean much. Who knows? Hopefully her story's still coming, but at this point, I don't think it really speaks. Yeah, I don't think it really speaks much to her future in the game at this point.
No. Last tribe we have is Soka. Jamie comes in very positive, very open. That's immediately the same exact read that Franny has of Jamie, but unfortunately, Jamie just replaces Josh. She's 5th on the totem pole. Danny does search the bags for Niall because this isn't the real world. This is the Survivor book, and it's
Real World got canceled a decade ago.
Yeah, it's the book that I'm reading, or I'm writing, whatever his analogy was. But Danny goes through everything, doesn't feel it, but Matt's like, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't just leave it in her bag. She probably has it on her if she has something, because I can't believe that they would just send them to another tribe with nothing. Or that she didn't find anything on the island.
Yeah, you have to be skeptical, because at that point you just think, if you're the rest of, that supposed solid 4, you'd think, well, this seems way too easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also just another headline, or not a headline, but another thing to remember as we go to the next episode. Matt still does not have a vote
He may make it all the way to the Earn Your Merge
without a vote.
without a vote.
Without
It's
voting anyone out.
because I mean, you think, yes, they lost last week, but what challenge possibly comes up where they're not favored
Especially
to at least come top 2?
Especially because now they're going to be able to sit 2 people next week. Just like, yeah, them and Ratu are going to be able to sit out 2 people next week. And it's most likely just going to be a immunity / reward challenge. So Jamie's going to be able to sit out again, which, you know, if you read the room of Soka, you shouldn't be sitting out multiple challenges in a row.
No, and Franny and Heidi, neither of them are challenge liabilities. Like, so
No, it's
either
gonna
way
be
they
just-
put in,
I
they're
think-
perfectly fine.
Right. Whoever the other person who sits out from their group, I don't think it like bears any fruit. Matthew's probably going to sit out for Ratu and probably Lauren, depending on what the challenge is. Because now you have Carson there who can hold his own in the physical side and do the puzzle. You have Brandon who can do the physical stuff. And you have Kane who can be there singing the Canadian anthem.
Well, he's got to cheer the squad on somehow.
Yeah, oh Canada. And apparently my Canadian friend told me Kane butchered the Canadian anthem to Holy Hell.
Damn you, Kane.
Damn you, Kane! It's gotta be Kane! But I think that will be like, if Ratu loses, it's gonna be like, how can we rely on Matthew? His shoulder is not gonna allow him to do most competitions. He's gonna need to go. Matthew plays his idol, maybe Carson plays an idol on Matthew. Like, something's gonna happen, and maybe we see a Brandon go or a Kane go, because those are the 2 that I would say are the most at risk of going home if they leave. Because I think Lauren's story isn't done yet, not with how they like showed her in the forefront, and now they have pulled her away.
Agreed. If it were to go to that, they put all the kind of the seeds have been there for a few weeks that Kane's on the outs, but we haven't seen a ton of them. We don't know if he's been able to make any end roads, but Brandon just has someone that gets blindsided because of an idol play written all over him, whether it's, you know, next week, 3 weeks, whenever it is,
or
that
like
just
goes
seems
out
like how he goes.
Or goes out at the final 10, like where they split them into 2 groups of 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but this is the immunity challenge, where I just like to call it the Surrey challenge, where you dive into the ocean, climb to up to the tower, jump and leap off of the platform to grab a key. Then you cross the floating balance beam and use the keys to solve a manta ray puzzle. Straight off the gate, Soka dominates. No competition at all. Like, Danny has 1 slip up on the balance beam, but everyone else really no issues whatsoever. They just seem to be a good comp tribe.
No, they're a great comp tribe, because what we see, the struggles on the others, because Lauren, she misses her key, so Brandon has to go back, and then on the others, yeah, that's just brutal. But you could tell she was going to miss it, because that's something that as soon as you hesitate, it's just
It's not even the hesitation for me,
it.
because it looks like they did make the keys like closer to the platform. Like, they're still like a little high, so like her being short does no favors for her. And like, I feel that way. I had no jump. I'm a short boy. I'm a short Jewish boy. We weren't made to be leapers, but like, you see Carson get it. So it's like, the issue is people don't jump up. Like, they jump out as if they're gonna dive, when they just need to like use, like, if you're playing basketball, take that last step and jump up and out. But like, I think people in their head are like, run. They don't see the concept of run up. They're running forward. So then by the time that they jump, you see it with Lauren, she doesn't even jump up at all. It looks like she's still running and then immediately crashes because she doesn't get lift. It's easy for the Joshes, the Brandons, the Matts of the world that barely have to jump at all, and they're all like, their head's already at the key before they jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brandon, I felt for him, like, big boy have to swim all the way back. Like, he did
It's a
the right
long
thing,
swim.
backstroke to conserve his energy. Like, it could cost them doing that, but like, you have to in order to ensure that you have enough energy to do that second jump. Kane and Jam Jam both have their struggles on the balance beam. But once again, gets to the puzzle, which calls to attention something else I listened to on a podcast recently about the like women being voted out due to physicality of the challenges, which is like I think more so an issue of the concept people have in their heads, just like biases within, obviously. You have this mentality baked into the show of Survivor of you got to keep the tribe strong. And a lot of times when people hear keep the tribe strong, they're thinking physical muscle,
Brute strength.
brute strength. Like, we had to get such a big lead on the puzzle where we have seen now across all these seasons in the 3 tribe format. Even if you're a weaker tribe, more times than not, you still get to the puzzle portion at a recently not a slow enough time where you are guaranteed to lose. Like, you still have a chance to pick up ground if you have your puzzle people. Like, I think the mindset moving forward should be people thinking if Survivor's going to keep finishing with puzzles, especially in the merge portion of the game, you want to keep the puzzle people around. I know it's scary for the individual phase, but if you want more survival chances, you need your puzzle people. And like unfortunately, because of how the show goes, the smaller women who are already like preemptively put a target on because the most successful women players, especially the women winners, are more low-key social players. They tend to be more slender, smaller. They're able to like hide behind the muscle. They're able to hide behind some alliances because of relationships they make. They're already on their back foot heading into these games. And now it's like, now you're going to be thrown to the puzzle. And now if you're unsuccessful, now it's like, not only are you weak, but you could be a threat down the line, and you failed us on the puzzle, so you're going home.
Well, and I think it also comes because we know these people didn't see 43. They saw 41 and 42. And so you think about what has happened recently. You see Erica win and you see Marianne win. And I think that has to be in their minds because I think it was, who doesn't like a good Brad Culpepper callback is he's the one that says it on his first season that, hey, it isn't the big, strong guys that are winning. It's the smarter people. Like he uses Cochran because Cochran had just won the previous season. So in their minds, I think someone like an Erica is still real prevalent in their mind because they just saw that type of competitor go on and win.
Yeah. And like we're hearing in the down in the comment section too. And I think we're saying the same thing. It's the perceived physicality versus what's actually necessary in the game. So I'm hoping that's something that changes because they are picking fans more often to get on the show. I'm hoping the fans that do get selected like have more of that mindset because I'd rather see people getting sent home due to I think you're a potential threat in the game as opposed to, well, we need to keep the tribe strong. Like keep the tribe strong is very old school Survivor, very when no advantages are there. It's just the social dynamic, and like I get it, but this isn't that version of Survivor anymore. Like we need to have, if you're coming in to play the game. Challenges are just a factor of it.
I was just confused because Josh is clearly not a surgeon, so why was he on the puzzle? You wouldn't think that you'd have the physical trainer being there on the puzzle.
Well, as a physical trainer, you have to have steady hands.
You need that for this manta ray puzzle.
I mean, or apparently you could be Carson who has to jump on the pieces in order to plug them in, like he's Super Mario.
You could tell once him and Lauren got like kind of a rhythm going.
Oh, it was dumb.
They were moving. I wouldn't be surprised if they finished the puzzle the fastest. It was just that Heidi and Matt had such a big lead that it showed like they dominated. By the time the other
2 tribes were going, I believe it looked like Ratu already had like half their puzzle finished. Or not Ratu, Soka had half their puzzle finished. So Soka wins. Ratu beats Tika by about like 5 to 6 pieces. So they're both safe. Tika is going to go to tribal. They're going to go from 4 to 3. And it is like it's an exciting tribal, or not tribal in terms of what is said, but the result of the tribal. But
So we're skipping right over Danny's backflip, I see.
yes, I'm skipping over Danny's backflip because he does enough somersaults already.
Well, it was an 11. He over-rotated. Come on, Probst. Terrible judge. But sorry, go on.
You know what I mean. But they're going to tribal. And like, I don't want to keep harping on small tribes, but it's like, I know even some of the challenge tests, like the dream team people are even saying like, come on, we need to shake this up. Let's have a 2-tribe season, like 2 tribes of 10 people. You can split it to 3 tribes even after a couple votes. It's like, I just don't enjoy having this small numbers at a tribal, but like,
There's no reason to have 4 people voting on the 4th episode.
yeah,
of
it's
the
the fourth.
season.
It's their second vote, and like that's what I really want to preface, because like we get to Tika, and like the Tika 3 are all talking about like how let's just get Josh out, and Jam Jam immediately goes like, well, we're gonna make you the decoy vote, Carolyn, and Carolyn's like saying she's tired of always being the decoy vote. Why am I always the decoy vote? It's like it's your second tribal, but because the tribes are so small, it's like you get to that second tribal, and just by perception, you're like, well, now there's only 4 of us. Like, damn, why are you still putting me as that target? Especially if we're supposed to be part of a tight 3. Like, why are you making me the decoy? Why can't it be Sarah? Why can't it be you? And Jam Jam essentially just goes like, no offense, I know you're gonna get angry by this, and apparently this is something that's just being said. Is the rest of the survivors are viewing me as the threat, not you.
Well, so nobody wants to be the decoy. Like, no one's ever really going to be comfortable about it. But you think about it in this position that, okay, I'm the decoy here. Say that that plan goes off the way that they were originally talking about it. Josh goes and it's down. Well, why would you think that they're not going to go back to tribal very next time? And if I'm always the decoy, it's perceived that I'm on the bottom of the tribe. So then what stops Jam Jam and Sarah just being like, well, we've been throwing out Carolyn's name this entire time. Why don't the 2 of us just take her out if we go back next week? 2 days.
I think the bigger issue, though, isn't even the decoy vote of it all. I think hearings, like, you are a Survivor fan. You have your ideas of what you want to do in the game. You want to believe that you can win the game.
Mhm.
And you have an ally not only tell you you're going to be the decoy vote for the second vote in a row, but that you aren't the perceived threat. That your ally is the one who's seen as the threat, the person that could win the game. You're Carolyn. And I think that's ultimately what she's more reactionary and like emotionally charged by. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's how she's deciding to play. I can't judge that. I'm not that type of player. But I see that it's like her trying to struggle between like it makes sense logically to still go with them because I have my idol. We hear like they after Jam Jam and Sarah talk to Josh. Josh doesn't vibe with them. He goes to Carolyn, and Carolyn pretty much tells him like, "No, we are not a united 3." Like, but he wants to keep Carolyn. He wants to break up Jam Jam and Sarah. He wants to cut Sarah because he thinks Sarah is a threat long term. Because, and the way I think he sees it is, while Jam Jam is a threat, Jam Jam is out there.
He's a
like,
well-known threat
Sarah,
that you would think wouldn't be able to navigate the entire game with having that target on his back.
He's not able to target the game. We hear it at Tribal that like he maybe puts his foot in his mouth more often than we see. He maybe has more poor choice of words where maybe Sarah's coming off more outwardly like strategic, like more getting that vibe, calculated.
Mm-hmm.
She's poised. She's strong. She's lean. If she gets to the
merge, this is Coach's niece. Yeah. Of course, she's all those things.
I keep forgetting that she's Coach's niece, and it's such a shame that we don't get to hear any of that in the show.
It's a real shame.
But she said she has like the body type of someone who, if she gets to the merge, probably will be very good at a majority of the immunity challenges.
Agreed, because once That's what, and I mean, maybe this is a topic for another day or something that we've already talked about, but I'll never understand why all these, so-called super fans that are out there, it's the same thing every season. Is it's just, oh, well, that, it's a huge guy. They're going to be a huge threat come the merge. And it's just like 5% of them end up doing that, because
Right,
once
like-
you get to those individual challenges, it's a lot more on, your balance, your endurance, and strength rarely plays a factor in it.
It's like, besides Colby and Culpepper, Jonathan wins a couple of immunities too. It's like the bigger guy, like James never won an immunity.
No,
James
no,
was a shit brick house.
no,
He wasn't winning shit.
No, he never won. I mean, if you were going to say, best challenge threat, you could throw out a couple out there, but you think Ozzy, because he's someone who he has a lot of skills and he's good. He's good at pretty much everything physically, but he's also leaner and smaller, that he doesn't carry around all that
Right.
extra weight.
It's like-
that could become a hindrance.
And I know he's canceled, but like Joe Anglem,
Mhm.
leaner guy. Like, you have like Haley on Australian Survivor. You have Parvati. It's like,
Haley Ford, love it.
yeah, that's absolutely what I meant. Haley Ford. Nerd. But so we have these conversations, and Josh at this point is telling Carolyn, I want to work with you. They're telling me you're the vote. I want to build trust with you. When I was out on the journey, I got an immunity idol. I would like to play my immunity idol on you. We both vote Sarah. And at the moment, Carolyn doesn't say anything about what's the real plan, doesn't talk about her idol. So we don't know what is known about her idol.
Agreed. And because we don't see it, at least for right now, I'm going to assume that it's not well known, especially after what we saw from earlier in the
Right.
episode of the Birdcage, which means Carolyn's a lot smarter than what everyone is giving her credit for, because if she was really that erratic, not a smart Survivor player, she immediately would have been like, oh, that's great. We have two idols then.
I mean, I think you can be erratic and a good player, or like someone who has a common sense of like, I can read the room, because like that's her thing. Like that's the struggle she's going as she's going to tribals. Like, it makes sense for me to just stay in line, be with this 3. I had my idol. If Josh goes home and we blindside him after he plays his idol on me, fine, we go to 3. If we lose again, I can play my idol to ensure that I at least get to the final 2 of my tribe. And which point they're gonna merge or do the earn the merge phase, based off what you see in 41 and 42. You'd have to do it at 12 at the latest. But on her other hand, she's like, I don't want to be told what to do. Like, I didn't come to play Survivor for someone else. I came to play Survivor for me. And if I go in that direction, I'm not the one who has the agency. Sarah
Agency
and
is
Jam
the
Jam
perfect-
have the agency. And I want to have some semblance of control. So ultimately, we have to assume she tells Josh, play the idol on you. They're both voting for you. I will vote Sarah with you. I'm not going to vote Jam Jam yet.
Agency is the perfect word, and I would love to talk about it here, because I know I'm not going to get to talk about it on tomorrow's podcast. But it's something that I think, it's going to be scary that early on, really putting your foot down. But I think at some point you can see the way that the cards are going, and at some point you need to take, fate by the balls and just be like, I'm driving this vote. Like, Jam Jam and maybe to some extent Sarah, like, you think that I'm just following around and I'm going to do whatever you want to do. I need you to understand that I am here to play this game too. And you may not think that, I'm this great threat that you are, Jam Jam, but come tomorrow when I get my way and you don't get yours, let's revisit that conversation. You're on mute, Alex. I don't know how that happened.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. Well, I'm also frozen on my end somehow. Okay, I'm back. Cool. That was weird. But anyway, that gets us to tribal.
And I think at that moment, it's either Carolyn's very much struggling knowing that she's betraying these people that she knows, or she's just struggling with the decision in general. Because, like, she cannot hide. She has no poker face. Her poker face is the fact that she has none. You know? It's like, I'm a bad liar. When I lie, I tend to have more of a smirk, more of a smile. Which is why when I play games and I do all this stuff with, like, if I'm playing poker with people or playing that type of, like, deception game, I smile constantly so that no one can actually get a read on, is it a lying smile or he's just happy? You know?
No,
It's her being like, I'm in all my emotions. Let me really pull my face apart because I'm really just, like, allowing myself to feel what I'm going to be feeling. And to everyone else, that's Carolyn being Carolyn. But
No,
it can
agreed.
also be, you're so over the top that they can't actually read what you're doing, which I think works here. It will not, I don't believe it's something that works in the individual portion of the game unless you want people to just perceive you as like a goat to drag along, and then you can reveal like, oh, this is my master plan all the time, was for people to deceive me. I just think like you can only do this during very specific moments, and moments like these small tribes, I think it works.
The prophecy that Philip Shepard promised us, that he was going to get to the end and be like, nope, I've been playing you this entire time. Carolyn's going to see it through.
I was actually a CIA agent. Imagine Carolyn doing that at the end too.
As long as she comes with a feather.
Yeah. So we get drama here because like Jam Jam puts his foot in his mouth trying to do an analogy of like Josh being the new kid at school, and he specifically says at her, because I think in his mind he wants to keep continuing making Josh feel good, so he wants it to be like more known that, oh yeah, we are targeting Carolyn, but Carolyn starts reacting a little more viscerally and like getting to the point where like she's Felicia. she's Felicia, because when you say bye Felicia, well, who's Felicia? I'm not naming names. I'm Felicia. Who's gonna be here? Felicia. Put me out of my misery.
And I mean, I agree. He denies it here. Jam Jam does, but I think Carolyn was spot on that Jam Jam did put his foot in his mouth a little bit right here. And when he said her, and there was really only one obvious person he could have been talking about, which I don't know. I don't know if this affects, Jam Jam's long-term game, if it's just something that, he casually does sometimes, but it's definitely something that you could see at this point. It's driven what we thought was the tightest two on that tribe. It's driven a wedge right in there.
Right. And I think next week when Carson sees that Sarah went, like, one, he might just assume Josh played his idol, whatever, but if I'm Carson, I'm like, that's a sinking ship. I love Jam Jam and Carolyn. That's not my meal ticket to the end. Let me figure out something more so with this Raw 2 group, because I'm not going to be able to go to Soka. Soka's keep winning shit. They're going to be Luvu. They're going to stay tight. I can't work with that. But maybe I can get Raw 2 to be like, come merge. Us and whoever is remaining of that Tika group need to come together to face off against these Sokas, or we have no chance.
Yeah, and the other explanation is because apparently if this is something that Jam Jam's been doing, for a while, but this is the first time that it's really highlighted it, that maybe Carson's more the glue there that's holding that together than what we originally thought, because he, seemed to be more of that swing vote in their first tribal council. And maybe he's more calm and level-headed, and he's a good intermediary between both Jam Jam and Carolyn, that maybe he was able to keep that piece a little bit tighter than what we really saw.
Right. But we'll have to find out next week, because we get to the vote. It's time to play your shit. Josh does play his idol for himself, which was the right play all along. Play it for yourself. Figure it out at 3. We heard early in the episode that Sarah would have played her idol if she sees Josh play it. But in her mind, well, we told Josh, Carolyn. So obviously, maybe it's going to be 3 votes on Josh. Then he throws his vote. Carolyn's going by Felicia. So she holds on to her fake idol that she doesn't know is fake. And it's such a shame that she still doesn't know it's a fake idol as she's doing her final words. Because she's looking back on this now. It's like saying, oh, I get to join like all these historic Survivor players who went home with an idol in the pocket. Like, it was fake. Ah, Carolyn.
I feel like at that point, that's at least got to make you feel a little bit better. Because, of course, if you go home with a real idol in your pocket,
anyway.
Yeah, you think that had I just done this, who knows what could have happened. So I would at least think that that gives you a little bit of comfort just knowing that I was gone no matter what. And I at least saved the embarrassment of going up to Jeff and playing an idol that wasn't real.
Right. And like she never gets to use her inheritance advantage. That goes to, so she goes in a 2-0 vote. That would have been a 2-2 vote if Josh didn't play his idol. So Sarah goes 5th person out of the game, 4th person voted out, 4th woman in a row voted out. So maybe next week we'll see a guy go home. Who knows?
We're coming for you, Kane.
I mean, we're running out of women.
There's unfortunately not many left.
Yeah, there's only 5 left. Who will be voted
still
out?
There.
Who will be voted out next week? We'll find out next week. So thank you all for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow night going over Australian Survivor with both of us, Wayne, Johnny, hopefully, as well as our special guest, Chrissy, who's been fantastic for the course of this season. And then on Friday afternoon, Dan and I will be back talking about episode 4 of the Challenge World Championships exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, so like Alex said, that's going to do it for us. That'll be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern. As Alex said, it'll be myself, him, Chrissy, Wayne Mehmet, and Johnny Fairplay, because he has some things that he wants to talk about. And plus, come on, anything. It's the penultimate week of Australian Survivor. If you know anything about Johnny, he loves the penultimate, so there's no way he was going to miss it. So that's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern. We will be live covering episodes 21 and 22. That'll wrap it up for us. You know, we love and appreciate all of you. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you're live. You get the notification every time that we go live. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you catch your podcasts, make sure to give us a 5-star review. That always helps us out in the randomly perfect algorithm. And as always, the best way to support a podcast is to become a patron at realitypatron.com. Sign up for a month, see what it's all about, listen to the great Q&A stories that Johnny and Matt talk about each and every week, as well as links to all the Australian Survivor episodes as they come out, as well as get access to the secret Facebook group. And for me and Alex, that's going to do it. We will see you all tomorrow or next week.
And for more bonus content, go to realitypatron.com. That's right, become a patron now. Get additional coverage of all your favorite shows, the weekly Q&A, and you become a member of the secret, exclusive Facebook group. That's realitypatron.com.